son is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. We've got all your information for the Federated Auto Parts 400 from Richmond Raceway. That's right, we're going short track racing this week. Stages will be at laps 100, lap 200, and then they'll race the final 200 laps around this 3/4 mile track. As you can tell, I'm rolling solo this week as Liehr is at Billy Joel at Kauffman Stadium. I tried to trade in places, but I think Kim, his fiance, had a little bit of a problem with that. Anyways, I'm stuck missing Billy Joel, but hopefully I'll be able to give you guys the nuggets of information that you need to help you win some money on Fantasy NASCAR this week. With that said, guys, let's get into the picks. Let's start with the big three. I really hope this changes next season. I'm getting really tired of talking about these three guys week in and week out. But once again, we have Kevin Harvick at 12,200. He is starting on the pole and has business to take care of after cutting a tire last week and taking himself out, as well as my burning rubber pick last week, Eric Jones. Harvick was top 5 on the board in both practices and looks pretty fast this week. I like him as a play. That 12,200 price tag, though, is a little pricey. And the next guy we're going to talk about is Kyle Rowdy Busch at 11,800. He's starting 12th, and JGR and Kyle are both good here. He was also the top of the board in practice 1 and 6th in practice 2 in 10-lap averages. He also won this race last in the spring, dominating it, coming from the 32nd position. You have to like you some Rowdy this weekend, even at his 11,800 price tag. Next and finally of the big three is Martin Truex Jr. He's 11,000. I hope you listened to me last week about playing Truex. He paid off, scoring 111 fantasy points. I really like that as a play. I'm not necessarily liking Truex as much of a play this week. He's showing top 10 speeds in practice, but not much more than that. So after we've wrapped up the big three, we've got Hamlin and Logano, who basically both grade out as the best drivers at this track. I told you last week that I am off the Hamlin train, and if it burns me, it burns me. I'm sticking with my guns here. I'm also sticking with my guns as fading Logano. I just don't like either one of these guys' plays. I don't think that they're where they need to be. Now, both ran a little bit better than what they should have last weekend. I'm going to take that as an anomaly. Maybe they have righted the ship, and maybe I'm just wrong, and you want to play either one of those guys, especially with their track history here. I'm just not going to do it this week. The guys I am interested in playing, other than the big three, I've got just basically like a giant list. Since Liehr's not here to do a show, I'm just going to go through the list of the guys that I like and am looking to make plays at this week. First, we have Keselowski starting 8th at 10,200. I like what this car has done, and this car has been a necessity to be on your fantasy lineups for several weeks now, for several weeks in a row, as he's won 3 consecutive races. The problem with Kes this week is that his practice speeds aren't where they should be, and they aren't where they've been the past couple of weeks. But what we've seen from this car is that this car makes absolutely fantastic in-race adjustments to get them to the front. I think the same is true here. He has the speed to stay on the lead lap. As long as you're able to do that, it'll all come down to strategy at the end of the race. I really like Keselowski at 10,200, but he's going to be a popular play with 3 consecutive wins. The next play I'm interested in is Chase Elliott starting 19th. He is 9,900, which is really expensive for what he's been doing. But once again, if Chase Elliott can get into that top 5 and end up with a nice finish, I think it's going to be a play that you're going to have on your lineup. The problem is that hardly any of the Hendrick cars are showing any speed this weekend. It might not be a play that you want to go to, but it might then again be a play that you want to take a risk on, especially at that salary. The guy that I really like and that is going to be in 100% of my lineups and is already in the one lineup that I've got locked in is Clint Bowyer starting 25th. He's a really good short track racer, and even though he's 9,100, the qualification of 25th absolutely is not representative of how fast this car is and how good this driver is on short tracks. I love Clint Bowyer starting 25th. I understand the price is up there, but I think he's the best place differential play that you can make this week. Next, we have Ryan Newman, who's been on a tear as of late, and his price keeps going up to reflect how much of a tear he's on. He's now 8,100, but after the last 3 races of putting up at least 40-plus fantasy points, I understand why DraftKings has made this adjustment. Ryan Newman is one of those guys that seems to be week in and week out that 40-point guy that you need to have as a driver. It's an interesting play. He's also shown top 10 speeds all weekend. I kind of like the Ryan Newman play. Next is Alex Bowman at 7,700, starting 14th. Now, normally I would say give a moment of pause with Alex Bowman starting 14th, but this kid is showing top 10 speeds in both practices. I like the Bowman play as a source of value. Along with that, I also like Paul Menard starting 21st. He's 7,400. There's good arguments to be made about how Menard can finish here and should finish, at least with positive place differential for you. But another one of the plays that I'm basically locking in this week is playoff driver Austin Dillon, who's starting 28, which is far below where he should be starting, and is only 6,900 this week. I think this is a great play. He may be high owned, but Austin Dillon, unless he has a malfunction or unless that car wrecks, there's just no way that that car isn't getting you at least 10 place differential points plus. And at 6,900, that's something you want. His brother, Ty, is starting 31st and is 6K and is fresh off burning his owners, which is usually the time I like to roster Ty Dillon. Once he burns a bunch of owners, people gravitate off of him again, and you can get him at the low ownership that he should have. 6K is the right price. You might get the right ownership on him. Ty Dillon may make a really interesting play. And then the last guy that I'm really focused on this week is Regan Smith at 5,700 and starting 33rd. The reason why I'm focused on Regan Smith is not only would he have been a great source of value when he wasn't a choice for us 2 weeks ago, but last week he was an absolutely phenomenal source of value, putting up 48 fantasy points. This guy knows how to drive and knows how to drive smart, even in subpar equipment. Look for another 40-point performance, in my opinion, from this guy this week. If you are interested in other value guys right around this range, David Reagan and Michael McDowell also look decent in practice with decent speeds. But once again, those are teams that we were counting on early for place differential and to get us that sweet value savings. But as of late, they've kind of been falling off. But if their times are any indications here, both of those plays should also be an all right play this week. Well, guys, I blew through the information. Hopefully, I gave you enough that you need. If you have any questions, feel free to use the rest of the day to ask me questions on YouTube. I will try my best to answer them while I'm working on my football lineups for tomorrow. So with that said, let's win some money this week. Good luck to everyone, and next week we'll have Liehr back. Have a great one, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe as always, and I'll see you next weekend.